Gene.
How's it going, Bill?
All right, here we are again. And sorry, folks, if you just now see this pop up in your LinkedIn feed that we were live streaming. I forgot to send a notice out to everyone, but again, it's always available after post-production. You can go back and watch it. But yeah, Gene, good to see you, man. I know we have an exciting show today. The next one is we're tag teaming here. So this is a bioactive insight.
It is, and
Yeah.
I like. Yes.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. I was just saying, I like the topic today. It brings back old memories, as we talked about the other day. My first science class in college, biology for science majors, and learning all about mitochondria and all of that. That was brings back good memories. So yes,
Very, very cool. And actually, I taught at university. I taught a class. It was the chemistry for health science majors. So they were like therapists, nutritionists, that kind of stuff. It was a unique kind of class. So it was kind of a biochem, sort of thing. It wasn't like an organic chemistry deal, but it was biochemistry and biology. So we had a good mix there. So yeah, I used to teach that class. So yeah, it's a lot of, and there was a lab that went with that too. We had cool stuff we did with that lab, which was really fun.
Yeah. I had the lab too.
yeah. Always get the lab with it, right? Let's remind our listeners that this is season 3. Now we're into it, and just a slight upgrade to our season theme, because we had some changes in the programming. So the title of our season theme is The Future of Bioactive Science, Evidence, Intelligence, and Integrity. And what that's about is how we're going to explore AI-powered analytics, modern clinical science, and transparent validation frameworks that are redefining integrity in the nutrition industry, or supplement industry in this case, transforming how products are developed, evaluated, and trusted. So this is a big deal. We have 10 bioactive insight geared towards consumers. That's today's, of course. And the title today, of course, is Mitochondrial Magic, Boosting Energy from Within. And then our next one, we'll tag team over to Bioactive Breakdown. And that one is going to be titled Beyond Claims, How AI is Redefining Evidence, Trust, and Product Credibility. We have some cool guests coming on for that. So stay tuned for that one. But yeah, man, let's dig into mitochondria, and why do we want to talk about mitochondria, Gene? What's the importance of that?
We want to talk about mitochondria because whenever you hear the term energy, I need more energy, what does that mean? What that means is you want to make more of that molecule called ATP, which is our body's energy currency, particularly in the muscle. And it's the mitochondria that make that. That's our little cellular, that's our little organelles within the cell that actually manufacture that energy for us. So energy and mitochondria are linked very, very, very closely. And so it's important to understand a little bit about that and what you can do to help that process. And that means what you can do to help with energy.
Yeah. And those are, we always talked about in biology class, I think it was the energy powerhouses of the cell. And they are central to our vitality and resilience and healthy aging,
healthy aging, absolutely.
Yeah. And if we talk about healthy aging in the bigger picture, Healthy Aging Week is coming up in March. Actually, I'm going to be speaking. I'll talk about that at the end with a 3-day healthy aging event that's happening, sponsored by Salabia Nutrition. So I'm going to send out a post for everybody about that too. But so mitochondria. Back to that.
So you have tissues. You got various tissues in your body where you need a lot of energy for their functions. For example, the brain, the heart, your muscles, your immune cells. Those are high energy tissues. So as you might expect, you've got a lot of mitochondrial activity taking place there to make the ATP, to make that energy that you need. And also, what happens if you don't have the mitochondrial activity that you need? What if you don't have enough of that energy? You start seeing this relationship between mitochondrial health and fatigue, or brain fog, or aging and metabolic slowdown. So it's very important to have an adequate number of mitochondria. We call that mitochondrial density, and its efficiency, not just its output, but the density and the efficiency, which is something we'll get into just a little bit more.
Yep. And I think when you say all that, I think about those days that I need, I don't feel motivated enough, or the gym, I just don't have as much energy as I did the last time. Sometimes I'm like killing it. Of course, I regret that later, because then I really was too energetic, you know.
You're not 20 anymore, my friend.
No, I'm not. And the brain fog. Oh my God! I know when I hit the wall on that, because I'm especially if it's you can have a very tiring day even if you didn't do any physical activity, just by your
That's
mental
right.
processes.
Mental intensity. Yeah. You and I both have mentally intense jobs where we're focused and doing so much mental work. And it's funny because when I get done and it's evening and I'm spending some time with my wife, and she wants to talk about something, maybe she wants to talk about politics, or she wants to talk about something else, and my brain starts to go, and she's going, "Are you having a brain fart?" And I'm like, "Something like that." Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I've been in those situations with my wife when we're time to go to bed, and I'm like half asleep, and it's like, "Honey, this is not a good time to talk about that."
Yeah. Exactly. I go through that too.
But let's talk about mitochondrial decline. Well, aging, of course, is a big one. Oxidative stress, that can be from exercise. It can just be from the environmental things that are in the environment, toxins, whatever. And it's all connected, right? And then inflammation.
It is. Yeah, that's a biggie.
And then I just said it, toxin exposure, right?
Toxin exposure there's some interesting published data on that, on the role that toxins can play in that. And I just might mention that in oxidative stress, the irony is that in mitochondria, in the process of making ATP, making energy, it generates oxidation too. So you have to be aware of that and what you can do to help counter some of that, and thereby help maintain good energy without, undue oxidative stress taking place.
Yeah. It's a balance there. So, I don't work out every day. I used to do that. I mean, it's too much stress in the body. And then sleep. That's a big one here, man. You have to have, I mean, this is kind of, we're preaching to the choir, probably to folks listening here, but you've heard it. Sleep is a really, really a big factor here in all this. So,
huge.
And it gets harder to get good sleep when you get older. It's just the nature of aging.
It is the nature of aging, and but when that happens, that puts stress on the mitochondria, as does a sedentary lifestyle. Stress on the mitochondria, meaning it's not going to do its job as well, and you can end up with some degree of mitochondrial dysfunction, right? And mitochondrial dysfunction doesn't just mean, oh, my energy's low. It does mean that, but that can impact a number of areas of human health. Insulin resistance, your cognition, you get some cognitive decline, to the point you were making earlier, reduced exercise tolerance, and of course, the ever-popular chronic fatigue. Those are things that happen.
Well,
mitochondrial dysfunction.
I just called those out a minute ago, didn't I? But
you did. So that was probably my mitochondria in my brain not working as well, so I repeated it.
Well, that's my personal experience anyway with that, and it's there's ups and downs to that. It's a cycle, so and it's okay to be flexible. By the way, this is just kind of just recommendation advice. You don't stress yourself out and make it worse by saying, "Oh no, I didn't work out today," or "I should have done that," or whatever. You beat yourself up about that. You got to listen to your body, And I've learned to do that. And days that, you know what, 1,000-meter swim doesn't feel so good right now. We'll see how I feel a little bit later. I'll do that later. Uh, and then,
Yeah.
you can put it off a day. It's not going to kill you. All right. So just, it's all
Now,
about balance.
that's what happened this morning, Bill. I was
Yeah.
the other day. I had been
Yeah.
doing some weight training, and then yesterday I'm like, I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to give my body a day to recover, and I hit it just a little harder than I probably should have. And so this morning I got up and I'm like, oh man, that delayed onset muscle soreness, and I was like, I just can't get myself to it. I think it's going to be too difficult this morning, so I skipped it.
I've seen that's happened. I don't know. A couple days ago, it was what was it like? It was overcast. The sun wasn't out, and the pool is, even though it's heated, it's not really warm. And man, it just didn't feel like a good idea to go jump in the water. And I got a short wetsuit too.
Well, it was 29 degrees here this morning, so it probably wasn't a good idea anyway. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's cool for here in Puerto Vallarta. I think it was about 68 or 70, which feels chilly when you got a nice breeze out there, right? So anyway.
Sure. And if you're jumping in the pool, that's a bit much. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a bit much, man. All right. So let's talk about what are some of the key nutrients here that are going to support
the fun stuff here.
mitochondrial function. And let's talk about energy production and electron transport. And I'll start it off here. CoQ10.
The first thing I think of when I think of mitochondria.
Yeah.
Continue.
Yes, that's what I think of as well. And what it's the role of CoQ10 in the body. So one thing we should call out, just like many bioactive components in our bodies, they do decline with aging. This is one of them. So does somebody in their 20s need to supplement with CoQ10? Probably not, really. But again, it's definitely, as you age, this is something that's important to do that. So again,
it is.
There's a lot of research on this area, of course, with I think cardiovascular health is the biggest one, but in the electron transport chain.
That's what I was going to say. So for those of you who don't know, we won't go into the whole biochemistry of it, but there are like a few major cycles involved in energy production. And one of them is referred to as either oxidative phosphorylation or electron transport for short. And in electron transport, that's what's happening. You're transporting electrons, you're changing it out. And CoQ10 is a key electron carrier in that whole chain. And so it plays an extremely powerful role. And so if you could use that, man, that can make a big difference. And there's studies on actual use of CoQ10 in increasing like endurance, athletic endurance. And so we can see, like 100 milligrams or more has a powerful impact on actual energy production. So, man, it makes a lot of sense. What are your thoughts regarding ubiquinol versus ubiquinone? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, sure. That's where I was going to go next, actually. So it's a cycle. It cycles between ubiquinone and ubiquinol. So I think we know Kaneka has their ubiquinol that is more bioavailable. I actually think that's a good idea especially for older populations, because then it doesn't have to be converted in the body. So I think that's a better supplement as you age, for sure. And it also has an antioxidant role, right? Okay, which connects us to healthy aging and all that. Mm-hmm. And it does stabilize mitochondrial membranes, right? The organelles in the cell. Yeah. And there's links to oxidative stress and mitochondrial dysfunction. So CoQ10, again, it's an essential nutrient, I think, that everybody probably needs to take just about.
So for anybody,
go ahead.
Say for anybody who doesn't know ubiquinol, when we say coenzyme Q10, that typically is sort of the oxidized version, if you will. and then ubiquinol is the reduced version. That's the
Right.
active form. That's kind of the active form of CoQ10.
Right.
To make ubiquinone or regular CoQ10 into its active form, you need an extra like hydrogen in there. And so, where do you get that? Well, actually, you can get that from like vitamin C, vitamin E, that kind of thing. There's studies showing that if you were to use regular old CoQ10 together with those supplements, you'll get more ubiquinol. But you can just use straight ubiquinol if you want, and not have to be concerned that you're getting sufficient amounts.
Yep. And the other, I think I got another functional thing to talk about, and then also just from a practical standpoint, from formulation of products with that, it does have some solubility issues. So again, you'll see it often in a soft gel with, like you mentioned, uh, an oil-based delivery for it.
Yeah,
You
there's
know,
some delivery systems out there for CoQ10. There's different ones, even some liposomal ones. There's different ways to
yeah,
take it, but yeah. But whatever you're doing, you definitely make sure to use CoQ10. That'd be my first concern if I was looking to. I don't know about you, but I certainly take it on a daily basis. Um,
yeah.
so
Well, unfortunately, I can't get all the supplements I want here in Mexico. Uh,
mhm.
so, so I'm pretty much in a deficit right now. My supplement stack for that one.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, I could probably use that right now.
I bet you could. So
Yeah,
one of the other things that
yeah,
I remembered back so many years ago. It was either late 70s or early 80s. I can't remember, but when I took that course, um, looking at the Krebs cycle and everything, and suddenly seeing, oh look, I recognize that. That's a vitamin. That's actually seeing the role that certain key B vitamins had to play in the cycle of making ATP. And so I always thought that was absolutely fascinating because I had already been working in a vitamin store and doing that and talking about how B vitamins play a role in energy. But to actually see how it worked was pretty cool. So, I mean, some of the key B vitamins that are involved are riboflavin or vitamin B2, niacin/niacinamide, vitamin B3, and pantothenic acid, vitamin B5. And again, what's actually interesting is they play very distinct role. They actually help to make other coenzymes, like for example, the let's see, uh, flavin mononucleotide or FAD is one of those, and you need some vitamin B2 to help in the manufacture of that. And that helps, again, it's one of those critical coenzymes that works in electron transport. And then B5 has some similar roles to play, and which is vitally important. It actually is essential for what do I want to say, carrying something called acetyl groups, which is involved in the breakdown of carbohydrates, fats, proteins for generating energy. And probably the most well-known one is vitamin B3, niacinamide, because that helps to make NAD. And if you've never heard of any of these other things we're talking about, you probably heard of NAD because that's been one of the big things
yeah,
out there right now for sort of healthy aging, anti-aging.
yeah.
And it plays a critical role in helping to manufacture ATP. And we have lower levels of NAD as we age. And niacinamide helps to make NAD. And then other metabolites of niacinamide, things like NMN or NR, nicotinamide riboside, they will do a similar thing, a couple steps closer to being NAD. But all of those are very important. So you do need those B vitamins if you want to make energy, if you want to make ATP.
Yep, they're important. And then there's some you know metals or elements there that are also very important and core to mitochondrial function, and iron and copper. Because
Yeah,
without them, the electron transport chain literally cannot function. So if you're taking a good multivitamin, you're probably getting these in your diet, or through your, in addition to your diet, you're probably getting enough copper and iron. It's not something you need to necessarily supplement with, but a lot of multivitamins don't contain iron, but you do get a lot from the foods you eat or stuff like that. But
yeah, if you're not a vegan, you're likely to get plenty of iron. I wanted to mention that the other thing that iron does that works and that's important for energy production is, of course, iron's major role is it helps in the manufacture of hemoglobin in your red blood cells, and that's what holds on. That's what transports oxygen in your body. And if you want to be really effective at making ATP, you want to have some oxygen present. You can make ATP without oxygen, but as you may, I'm sure you very well recall, if you go through aerobic metabolism, which means with oxygen, for those who don't know, from one molecule of glucose you could make 38 molecules of ATP. But if you don't have the oxygen present, you can still make it. You're only going to make 2 molecules. So it's really good to have good oxygen transport. And that's one of the things that iron helps with. And of course, copper works with iron similarly. So there you go.
Exactly. Cool. And then PQQ. All right. That's another
cool stuff.
What does that stand for? It stands for pyrroloquinone. Okay.
Yes, it's a tongue twister for sure.
It's a tongue twister.
When I first worked for a company that sold that product, I would stand there in front of the mirror and I would repeat, and I don't even remember. I would repeat it because I had to train people on it, and I want it to sound impressive and let it roll off the tongue. It sounded like, and I always struggled with it. It was a tongue twister, but I don't know about you, but my favorite thing about this was mitochondrial biogenesis, research showing that it actually helped stimulate the production of new mitochondria, which I thought was pretty cool. So it's not a vitamin, but it's sort of related, and it works with coenzyme Q10. There's studies on the two of them working together. So I think it's a pretty cool supplement from that standpoint.
I think you called out, I think probably the biggest key feature of that is mitochondrial biogenesis, making more mitochondria, and it works hand in hand with CoQ10. So it builds more mitochondria. So this is kind of cool. So I think it's
you get more energy factories.
More energy factories. Yeah, level up, man. It's kind of like playing the video games and you get those energy packs and you're leveling up.
Yes, and that's what we were talking about earlier. The mitochondrial density, having more mitochondria present to do that job. Now, part of what we were talking about, biogenesis and efficiency, is I talked about earlier, like niacinamide and its metabolites. So it might bear mentioning again here that improving, mitochondrial efficiency, those NAD precursors like niacinamide, NR, NMN, are particularly good. Now, of course, there's a lot of hype about them and their role in aging. And some of the stuff is very accurate, but some, like it always takes place in our industry, people go sort of take it to a level beyond what the research actually supports. But it is good stuff.
I wonder about there is a lot of hype around that sort of thing. Where does the real science fall in that? But NMN is back in the scene now since the FDA backed off on that. Which I don't know what prompted that, but certainly a lot of industry pressure. But I think probably they realized that they, how do you say it, shut the bed on that one. Okay.
Yeah, indeed. And one of the things is both NMN and NR, while they both have studies showing them to be effective in increasing NAD, for sure. But I just want to mention, they are expensive materials. And people say you get what you pay for, and there's a lot of truth to that. But at the same time, I want to mention that there's research showing 200 milligrams of niacinamide increases NAD 30-fold in 30 minutes. So, Just saying. If you don't want to spend
Yeah.
buku bucks to get NR
Yeah.
or NMN, but use some niacinamide.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's research to show that. That's for sure. So alpha lipoic acid, Gene, that's an important one here too.
Yeah, alpha lipoic. I love that. It's a great antioxidant, which is important, as we mentioned earlier, that when you're making energy, when you're making ATP, you generate oxidation. So an antioxidant that helps prevent damage is good, but alpha lipoic acid has sort of multiple roles that it plays. It's involved in as a cofactor for mitochondrial enzymes. It's a really key player in energy production. It enhances the conversion of certain compounds into other compounds that end up making ATP. So you can use alpha lipoic acid, help with energy production, and at the same time help to reduce the oxidative stress associated with that. So that sounds like a win-win to me.
Yeah, I agree. And then there's a few more nutrients here. So like L-Carnitine. So I don't think people probably make the connection for L-Carnitine and its role and what's important, but it is the shuttle system that transports fatty acids into mitochondria so they can be burned for energy. So if you don't have any carnitine, fatty acids don't ever make it into the mitochondria, so less ATP production from fat. So again, this is it goes back to the zone 2 cardio scenario, right, where you're not anaerobic in exercise. And if you've got one of those trackers or whatever, if you're in the 60-70% range or whatever it is, you're going to see that's the fat burning range. Whatever your heart rate's at is the fat burning range, and that's where you're causing the upregulation of this. I don't know if that's the right word, but the ability to metabolize fat into energy.
Yeah. So just to elaborate for a moment on that, so if you want to burn fat, you're going to need, one of the things you're going to need is that carnitine to transport the fatty acids from the fat into the cell, where then it can be used to create ATP. So you're burning the fat for energy. But here's the deal. In order to do that, you got to be in aerobic metabolism, meaning you got to have enough oxygen present.
Yeah.
So if you're doing an exercise that's more of an endurance kind of exercise, maybe you're doing you're swimming, or you're doing some light jogging, or something that's a long-term exercise. What that does is it gives your body a chance to transport the oxygen so that you can make energy via aerobic metabolism. It has time to then use and transport those fatty acids. If you're doing an intensive kind of exercise, like maybe you're doing some weight training and you're pumping it, okay, your body doesn't have time to make energy via aerobic metabolism. Now it's got to make it by anaerobic metabolism.
Yeah.
It'll still do it.
Yeah.
But there's a price to pay for that, because you're going to make less energy and you can't go as long, and you're not going to be able to burn fat. There's still benefit. The more muscle that you build, the more fat you end up burning ultimately. But
it's a longer process. I think
it's a longer process.
Yeah, it's a longer process. Yeah.
So therefore, that's where things like, it's important, like coenzyme Q10 and carnitine for the transport of fatty acids. That all comes into play here in making energy, not to mention helping you in the fat burning process. So there you go.
Yeah, and I think just my own personal experience, this is why many, many, many years ago, decades ago, actually, when I got into a healthy kick or whatever, actually even before early days of joining this industry, so it was even before that, but before I'd, still learning about all these sorts of things. This is in my 20s, whatever. I started swimming. I was actually really, really overweight, and swimming was the best way to burn all the fat off, man. It really did work. And so now I'm so grateful that I have half-size Olympic pool here, 25-meter pool, that I can go swimming here where I live, which is freaking awesome. Actually, it's hard to get access to a pool here in Mexico to go do swimming. So I'm back into swimming, man, in a huge way, and I already tell the difference. It's cool. But again,
what do you think about?
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to ask you about, before we left carnitine. Do you have a preference for like the form of carnitine? I know I have a preference for dose, but I'm curious if you have a preference for dose or for its form.
Well, it depends, I guess, what you want to target, I guess. So if you were targeting brain and cognitive function, you'd want acetyl L-carnitine, right? Because that can cross the blood-brain barrier. I guess there's different forms of carnitine that are formed.
There are, but a standard L-carnitine, whether you're using just a base or whether you're using a hydrochloride, whatever. There's been a few good studies published that's showing that somewhere around 2 grams in a day, if you were trying to lose weight and you were exercising, and you want to help that process, they found that people using the same diet, same exercise program, but those using the L-carnitine actually lost body fat more effectively because they were better at transporting it into the cells for burning. And so somewhere around 2 grams a day was shown to be effective for that purpose. And so that would be, if that's what you're going for. But to your point, you might be using it for cognitive function, and I think around 1 gram or something like that was good for that, I think.
Yeah, I just take the L-carnitine form, and I have, I don't remember what the dosage is, but I think it's around 2 grams. So, it's kind of like the other ones. It's fascinating. Obviously, all these nutrients we're talking about have multiple functions, right? They do a lot of different things, which is cool. So sometimes it's hard to dial in your supplement stack and understand, what you want to be taking, and correlate that with your diet and your exercise regimen. It all works together. So anyway,
what do you think about high intensity interval training? We were talking about this.
HIIT, right? HIIT, right? I've done some of that. Actually, I even took some boxing classes. That's that's a high intensity training.
For sure.
Holy cow! I remember I had a personal trainer this one time doing it. I was doing sit-ups and sitting up and punching as I was doing it, and oh my God, it about killed me. So I have a healthy respect for boxers and their endurance levels in the ring. I'm not kidding. It is an incredible amount of energy for that. So those guys really need what we're talking about for the high intensity interval training. So what do I think about it in terms of
mitochondrial health?
Well, the needs are much higher, right? You're going to need it takes a lot of energy for that kind of training. Because you go anaerobic or whatever in that sense, but you still need a lot of energy.
I would imagine it would train your body into hey, make as much mitochondria as possible because I need it, right?
You need to be pounding down the L-carnitine probably if you're going to do a lot of interval training.
I imagine you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so again, doses, synergy, we're kind of talking about that, and quality are all important for these nutrients. And again, this list is not comprehensive, but I think it's the key ones to talk about.
What are your thoughts about energy drinks?
Good question, man. We should say something about that because I think it's a misnomer. Really, they really don't give you energy. It's a stimulant.
What do you mean? They got all kinds of sugar and caffeine in there. What do you mean?
Yeah, come on, man. It's caffeine. It's the only way you're getting any kind of stimulant. Look, at the pre-workout powders, right? That it's freaking caffeine, right?
I will admit
it's short term.
I enjoy my cup of coffee. Okay, and there is a sort of biochemical rationale for how caffeine is involved in the process. One could argue that caffeine helps to convert glycogen into glucose, and yada, yada, yada. But at the end of the day, it's really a central nervous stimulant thing. It's a false sense of energy.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, it can it can help when you're fatigued, but it's not a solution to the problem.
No, no. The longer term solution is the nutrients we've already talked about, and the more
Exactly.
effective powerhouses there are those. Caffeine is just a band aid, quick fix stimulant, right? And unfortunately, most of the pre workout powders and the functional drinks are the same in terms of that, creating that kind of. But they're popular. People love them. Whatever.
You know,
I'm a,
there are some that are better formulated than others. I formulated a few
True.
myself, but and there's
there's
a lot of
actually
crappy ones.
Yeah, there's actually a sports brand that I'm working with. We're looking at doing a next clinical study for them. I'm consulting for them, and they have a non-stimulant pre-workout shot. It's a liquid that they've got some really great data on. I won't tell you what's in it at this stage because I don't remember
Yeah,
exactly all of it now, but it's really cool. It's interesting enough that it could really be for people that are looking for non-stimulant ways to boost energy for workout. And appropriately named, the product's called Flow. So guess what?
okay.
It's Flow. It boosts the endurance. That kind of leads us into kind of lifestyle signals that strengthen mitochondria. So we're touching on some of this here, but exercise, of course, resistance training. You mentioned HIIT. I
Yeah.
said zone 2 cardio. What else we taught? Sleep, is huge in terms of for lots of reasons. Okay,
For lots of reasons, but you got to get an adequate amount. You
Yeah.
don't get adequate sleep. You don't repair. Your
I think
mitochondria is not working well.
I think we covered everything here, and
I think we did.
yeah, I think we did on that one. So we kind of touched on all these. So for our listeners, Gene,
Yeah.
what's some practical guidance for them?
Um, I would say, you want to think about an energy support stack. Uh, Basically, some of the mitochondrial support nutrients we talked about, things like coenzyme Q10, B vitamins, carnitine, etc. These are things that can make a big difference. Think about using them with some regularity and using them responsibly. I mentioned the responsible part because if you're going to have caffeine, that's fine, but just don't go crazy with that, man. You use too much of that, it's not going to actually help you like you think it will. And when you're using energy support nutrients, mitochondrial nutrients, look carefully. Think about, are you using any medications that could possibly be contraindicated to use any of these things? So you want to just be responsible about it, and also remember, just because you're taking more supplements doesn't always mean you're going to get more energy. You need to, yes, it can translate to that, but remember that the term supplement means a supplement to something, a supplement to a healthy lifestyle, a supplement to a good diet, a supplement to doing exercise. If you're combining these things together, supplements can make a profound difference. If you lay
Absolutely.
on the couch all day eating potato chips and pop a few supplements, not going to have the effect that you want.
No, not quite. Not quite. In fact, I just finished my protein shake here a little while ago that I had for my afternoon pick me up,
Yeah.
which is got some of the nutrients we're talking about. One last thing I wanted to say about the whole functional beverage category.
Yeah.
So popular in our industry. There are a small percentage, and not that many, I'd say, that actually have good formulations. Most of them are just stimulant based or whatever. I don't think those are going to fare well in our end score rating system up for NutriSelect in our platform because they're probably not going to hit the radar, I'm afraid, in terms of that. So just proof to the point, they don't. Is the real value there into that? It's just a band aid.
Yeah, you either have the science or you don't. And if you don't,
That's
you don't.
right. You don't. And so just kind of connecting the dots here, we'll start to wrap this up. But we have some upcoming episodes that are going to be connected to mitochondrial health, like healthy aging, cognitive performance, immune resilience. We're going to be hitting all these topics in later on during the year here, as I don't remember when they are, but they're going to become popping up here on our journey for future bioactive science and all.
For sure.
And I already mentioned our next Bioactive Insight. Actually, no, I did mention that. The next Bioactive Insight episode is, excuse me, I don't have it in front of me. Give me a second.
Yeah.
I'll tell you in a second. I had to pull it back up. I had it closed in. Okay. So the next one is probably in March. Speaking of which, immune resilience. There you go. 2.0.
There you go.
We're going to dig into immune resilience, which is kind of cool. And
very cool.
And then, of course,
our next bioactive breakdown coming up as well.
Yeah, it's coming up. We'll send an announcement about that. Gosh, I hope. Well, tomorrow's Friday. We're waiting for feedback to hear back from one of the speakers. So, but one of them is already committed. Hopefully, early next week we'll be able to put that announcement out. But it's in 2 weeks. It's at the last week of February, and I don't have the exact date exactly in front of me, but it's the last week of February. So we'll let you guys know. We'll send a post out about that. Again, as usual. Follow us on the. By the way, we've had an uptick in followers on our LinkedIn page, Gene. It just did another uptick there. So we've got quite a few followers now. Of course, we're hitting 28 countries at last check at the end of last year, which is awesome.
It is awesome.
We're going to keep doing all that. Anything you want to close with, man?
I just, for mitochondrial health, as in almost everything else in health, it's all about consistency and your lifestyle first. So be consistent with your eating healthy, doing regular exercise, getting good sleep, lifestyle first, and then, using some well-chosen supplements to help augment the process. And that's going to put your mitochondria in a good place.
Exactly. And
how about you?
Well, for me, energy is it's always like front of mind for me in terms of like we talked about for brain fog and being able to do my exercise and regimen, stuff like that. So it's even you have to be even more diligent as you're aging, because not only you have those nutrients decline, but also in your programming of what you're doing every week and day to day. You gotta go with the flow and tweak. So go with the flow and tweak your regimen, your healthy lifestyle thing, eating right, exercise and supplements, and just keep living a healthy lifestyle, man.
Very good. Yeah, because everybody, when your cells work better, everything works better.
Absolutely right. Well, cool. Well, that's it. Thanks for joining us, guys. We're out of time, and we'll see you on again. Look for the notice next week about the next the Bioactive Breakdown episode coming up last week of February. That's all I have to say on that.
All right.